To start off this warm-up, we're going to be doing a walking lunge and then a squat to follow it up. This exercise is just to get you warmed up, get you moving a little bit, figure out what's tight. And so during this movement, you can actually see that I'm adding a side stretch to it. This side stretch is going to help open up the hip as well as the rib cage and the side of the stomach. For each of these exercises, I definitely want you to go between 5 and 10 reps per side. This will make sure that everything's feeling good, everything's warmed up. You do what you need to do in order to feel good for your workout. Right after the lunges, like I said, we are going to be doing a deep squat. I want you to go as deep as possible. Open up those hips, really activate your glutes and quadricep muscles. Once you're done squatting, you're going to sit into it and open up the legs and groin, and you should feel a nice deep stretch while sitting at the bottom of this squat. Right after you finish that, you'll start doing knee drop hip mobility drill. You're gonna go 5 to 10 per side, and this is just to kind of activate and loosen up the hips right before you're gonna be doing your squat exercises. The next exercise is going to be side to side squats. From here, it's very similar to a side lunge. However, you're going to be activating and sitting deeper into that movement. Really feel the quads activate and squeeze the glutes as you're rotating from side to side. You're going to be doing 5 to 10 of them total. Once you have finished, you're going to open up your legs as wide as possible and stretch out the hamstrings. Put the hands on the ground, flatten the back as much as possible. Once you finish that, we're going to loosen up that low back. So you're going to side lunge and then rotate on each side. You should kind of feel that body open up. You should feel that low back open up, and as well as the insides of the legs with each and every rep. Once again, 5 to 10 per side. Make sure it's just feeling good. You don't want to overdo these. Now we're going to open up the hamstrings even more. These are called inchworm push-ups. You'll walk your hands out, do a nice good push-up, and then you'll walk your legs up as straight as possible. With each and every rep, I want you to try to get your feet closer to your hands. Once again, 5 to 10 reps. This will definitely get your body warmed up. You'll feel your core activating. You'll feel your hamstrings loosen up with each and every rep, and then following it up with a push-up, which will definitely get your upper body going. This next combination is a yoga combination. You'll start off with a downward dog, stretching out the calves and hamstrings. Hold for a couple seconds. From there, I want you to breathe out and get into a viper position, stretching out the stomach. Take a couple breaths as you see as I'm doing here. From there, you'll sit into a child's pose, stretch out the lats, and decompress the back. Once again, you'll probably go about 3 to 5 reps of this, and this is just to get your breathing intact and loosen up the body. This next exercise is to target the glutes as well as the lats. From here, you're going to see that I'm going to get my leg into a 90-degree position, and I'm going to lay over it as much as I can. After I finish that, I'm going to go ahead and move my hand off to the side, and I'm going to try to stretch out my lat as much as possible. I'll take a couple breaths in each position. I'll hop up, and then you'll go ahead and rotate into the other side. I change the angle so that you can see which part of the knee that I'm sitting over, right between the knee and the shin. And then I'll go ahead and move that hand, the opposite hand, off to the side, stretching out the lat as much as possible. From there, I'm gripping the ground. After that 90-90 stretch, I like to go straight into a deep hamstring stretch. With these, I'm adding a rotation with each one to loosen up the low back as much as possible. I'm trying to get my elbow as low to the ground. Some days you're going to be able to get it down. Other days it's going to be a little bit tighter. As I'm rotating from side to side and I'm reaching for the sky, you may notice that one side of your back is tighter than the other, which is why I like to throw in a lot of low back rotations each and every session. By now, you should feel your hamstrings are feeling pretty loose. This one is to activate it. You're doing 3 different ways. The first one is to go straight up, activating the middle of the hamstrings. You'll then kick your leg off to the side, stretching out the innermost portion of the hamstrings. And then you'll come across your body, feeling the outermost part of the hamstring activate as well. With this exercise, I like to do 5 in each direction for a total of 15. Those 15 reps will help get your hip flexor warm as well as a little bit of your core because you're doing a leg raise with each and every rep. This will be the second to last rotation exercise that we'll be doing. As you can see, I pay a lot of attention to the spine. The spine is very important, especially if you're doing heavy squats. If you have all that compression in your spine, you need to loosen it up. From here, I'm doing about 10 reps, 5 per side. And with each rep, I'm pulling with my oblique to bring my legs from side to side. These next 2 exercises, I'll start to move a little bit quicker because now that my body is really warm, I just want to hit every last little bit of muscle fiber. So I'm going to be pushing my hip forward, stretching out my hip flexor as much as I possibly can, and then I'll sit back into a half split. Sometimes when I'm in this position, I like to rotate my toe from side to side so I can feel that stretch across my hamstrings. I change the angle just so you can kind of see how far I'm pushing my hip forward. And when I'm in this position, I'll also squeeze my glute. When I squeeze my glute, it pulls a little bit harder on that hip flexor, and then I'll sit back again into that deep split. After the hip flexor is opened up, I'm going to go ahead and do a more aggressive stretch for the quadricep. I'll hook my foot onto any object that I can, couch, table, bedside, a fence, as you can see from here, and I'm going to be stretching out my quadricep. With each one, I'm going to be squeezing my glute as well because that's going to help pull the hip flexor even more. With this exercise, I'll hold for no more than 30 seconds per leg. This next stretch is called a half split adductor stretch. I'm going to flatten my foot as much as possible, and then I'm going to be moving my body forward and backwards. You'll see that my core is braced. I'm trying to flatten out my back as much as possible. As I'm moving throughout this movement, you'll see that I'm trying to focus on where the tight spots are. In some spots, I'm going to be feeling good, and other spots, I'll feel a little bit tighter. Every now and then, once I find that position, I'll hold in that spot for about 5 to 10 seconds in order to loosen up that part of the muscle. So this is the final exercise in our lower body warm-up. I'm going to be feeding my arm through my planted arm on the ground in order to stretch out the middle of my back as much as possible. I'll try to flatten my shoulder to the ground to emphasize the stretch. As I rotate up to the sky, I'm focusing on opening up the spine again. I'm focusing more on the upper spine and trying to get all those pops and crackles out. The more I decompress, the better my spine feels for squats and deadlifts.